Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies have taken the world by storm. Based on when you started owning them, you could have made profits from 100% to 1000%. This drastically beating returns from anything you could have made in the stock market over the same time period, even in this current stock market bubble that we're in right now. So it's obvious why people are rushing towards Bitcoin. But while everyone is getting excited and happy about the profits being made, most don't completely understand what Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies are and what the future of them will be. Unfortunately, there isn't a good deal of trust in information about the future of Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies, even though it's something that everyone in the world needs to understand. It was about 3 or 4 years ago that I started investing in Bitcoin. When I first learned about them, I had no doubt about its future. I immediately began investing in them and recommending to others that they did the same. The price was around $200, and I knew based on what I understood that the price was at its bottom and it was definitely going higher. I'll tell you why I knew the price was going to skyrocket, and I'll explain very simply what Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies' future is. First, what is Bitcoin? Without the technical jargon and unneeded information, all Bitcoin is a digital currency that is able to go from peer-to-peer, business to business, peer to business, business to peer, without the need for a bank or third party. Completely digital, never being physically held. The transaction fees are minimal and can be used globally, so there's no need to worry about currency costs between different nations. The technology blockchain provides a digital ledger that allows every transaction to be tracked and documented. So basically what we have here is a global currency, completely digital, never physically held, that has a limited quantity that never can be increased, very much like gold, completely opposite of cash. The elimination for the need of banks, they have low transaction costs, no currency risks, and all activity is documented, able to be tracked. Now, if you're awake to what is truly going on in this world, then alarm bells should be sounding off. You may be able to see where I'm going with this. But if you're like the majority, you may need more information, and you're who I made this video for. First thing you need to understand is that cash is almost dead. There has always been a widely held global conspiracy that the 1% want a cashless society. Whether you understand all the supporting facts that make this conclusion relevant, all you need to do is have your eyes open and see that we're going cashless. More people use debit and credit cards for their financial transactions than cash is used today. People are now even skipping using the cards and now using their phones and watches with systems like Apple Pay and Samsung Pay. We have been conditioned to not use cash. This is not just true for the United States, but for the world. The second thing you need to understand is what the current global financial system is based upon. In the most simplistic of explanations, the global financial system is based upon debt. Most nations of the world have a central bank. For example, the United States Central Bank is the Federal Reserve. The European Union Central Bank is the European Central Bank. And China is the PBOC, or People's Bank of China. So these central banks print their nation's currency, or cash, and loan it to the nations. This, again, is a very simplistic explanation to a very complex situation. The point that needs to be understood is that ever since the Great Recession of 2007-2008, the main central banks of the world have been engaging in something called quantitative easing, which, again, being very simplistic, involves printing an exorbitant amount of currency, drastically increasing the money supply. So let's say, for instance, that the United States dollar only had $1 trillion in money printed. After they did 3 rounds of quantitative easing, now the United States would have $4 trillion of money printed in supply. These are not actual numbers, okay? What's more important is that the money supply has been increased. And if you know supply and demand, the more you increase the supply of something while demand remains consistent, the value of that supply gets reduced. This would definitely be the case with the United States dollar if the other major central banks weren't doing the exact same thing. This is how the financial system has been propped up. If the other central banks were not doing the same quantitative easing, you would see hyperinflation in the United States dollar because the value of it will be diminished because of the oversupply. This, again, is an oversimplified way of explaining our current financial system. I recommend any and everyone to do their own independent research to get a better understanding. And don't expect the majors like CNBC, Bloomberg, or Fox Business to explain the truth until it's too late. Think about it. Did any of them properly prepare the general public for the Great Recession? So what does this all have to do with Bitcoin, right? Very simply, this financial system has been propped up too long, creating massive bubbles, and eventually will pop. It can happen in a number of different ways, but rest assured the bubble will pop and the United States dollar will implode, creating hyperinflation. It will collapse the global financial system and there will be a major global problem. If this information is new to you, there are many people that can give you information to get you up to speed with this. But this is not the point of this video. The point is that when this current global financial system implodes, the powers that be will look for a new answer. And maybe you guessed it by now, Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies will be that answer. Regulation of the currency will surely come, but from a global institution, and the world will have the global currency it's been asking for decades. So that's its future. It will be the global currency replacing the current global financial system currently in control by the United States dollar, which is the world reserve currency. The reason why I've been so sure of the future of this has to do with my faith. Regardless if you're a Bible believer or not, you must understand that those that believe in the Bible believe we are in the end times. Here is a verse from the book of Revelation that I'm sure you might have heard before. It comes from Revelation chapter 13, verse 16 and 17. And he causeth all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads, and that no man might buy or sell, save he that had the mark, or the name of the beast, or the number of his name. Now the first thing is this mark. You may have seen the many different promotions of the RFID chip people are inserting in their hands today.
I can't believe you just paid with this hand.
They explain many different benefits that people seem to gravitate towards, like tracking, so you'll never lose your child. You can store health records, so the doctor always knows your situation. It can serve as ID, so there's no need for wallets and ID cards. It can open doors and give you access without a physical key. It also can store financial information and allow people to buy or sell with this. Understand, in order for this mark of the beast scripture to be true, we'd have to be cashless. Because in a system that uses cash, there would be a way for man to buy or sell without the mark. People would just use cash. So when you take the RFID chip that is being marketed to the general public as a good thing, and then tie up a completely digital currency that can be linked to this chip, it's very easy to see where the future is heading. Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies will be part of the implementation of the mark of the beast, though it will never be labeled as such. The money being made and the great buzz being created just creates hype that builds people's general acceptance of a financial system that will bring about total control over their lives as well as their soul. And while even I have made a good deal of money in my early investment in cryptos, it's never been a long-term play. When people are getting excited about the price increase, it's because they are comparing the price to a dying currency, the United States dollar. They're not seeing the big picture. The United States is hyperinflating, but not against other currencies. It's hyperinflating against Bitcoin and other cryptos. So while I could definitely go on with this and explain in greater detail, in which I still might in a future video, I wanted to make sure that there was some sane information available to the public, particularly from a Christian point of view, because I can't find it anywhere. Even many Christians and watchmen promote Bitcoin without explaining the big picture. So I'll sum it up and end with my application of Bitcoin. I ride the price increase and incrementally buy gold and silver with the appreciation in price. This will be the currency of the underground that refuses the chip. Gold and silver I'm referring to. And either way, gold and silver will always be money and will rise just as Bitcoin did when the dollar finally implodes. I've loved the gains I've made in cryptos, but I never lose sight of the big picture. Bitcoin is my volatility gauge. The higher the price goes, the closer I know we are to the global reformation, or what Christians know to be the Great Tribulation. When this occurs, I can promise you, you won't be thinking about your Bitcoins. And no matter how much of them you own, you will still be a slave to the ones that own the majority of coins. The only answer you have is Jesus Christ. Surrender your life to Him and His will, and you will be saved. Please comment below if you have questions or would like me to explain something deeper. It may help me be more specific in my next video about the subject. Share this with anyone who wants to know the truth about Bitcoin. I love you all.